Not my story, but my dad's. He has only ever told us this story a handful of times, and it still creeps me out. My dad grew up in north central Kansas. He and his brothers were always busy doing something around the community. One summer, my dad was about 14, 15, and was helping one of his teachers repaint his house. Well, my dad said they ran out of something and were going to go drive to the lumber yard. They were inside, and his teacher came walking down the stairs into the kitchen when a pillow flew off the top balcony and hit the guy in the face. My dad asked him what was that, and that he thought they were the only ones there. He said the guy just went white and didn't say anything. My dad followed him outside, and they got into the truck and went to the lumber yard. Well, my dad, being the curious kid he was, he asked again, seriously, what was that? Then jokingly goes, was it a ghost? He said his teacher looked dead at him, and yes, but they don't talk about it in the house because it makes things worse. This still gives me chills.
A few months ago, the window of my storm door shattered. I was home and heard it and saw no object nearby that could have hit it. That night, I had scheduled a postpartum doula to help take care of my newborn, who wakes up a lot as I had been exhausted and needing some sleep. Turns out she left a bib completely covering my baby's face for hours. My baby is okay, thank God. But looking back, I think the shattered glass was a paranormal warning of some sort. It freaks me out thinking about it, even though everything turned out okay. People believe that it happened. But my husband thinks an acorn being blown or something did the shattering, but for me, I def think it was paranormal.
In January 2013, my mom, brother, and I were driving home on a freeway overpass in Stockton, CA at about 11 p.m. We were all talking, but suddenly all went quiet as we noticed these two creatures on the road in front of us. The only thing I can describe them like is the giant dog things from the first Hunger Games movie, except the hind legs were shorter and the kind of galloped like hyenas do. They were about 5 feet tall at the top of the shoulders. They stood in our lane staring at us and then stepped out of the way when we got close enough. We sat in silence for at least 5 seconds afterwards until one of us was like, "What the F was that?" I was 17 years old and my brother was 26, plus my mom saw it too. So it wasn't one of those stories that could be a figment of our childhood imaginations or something.
As a kid, I enjoyed claiming rooms in our house as my new bedroom. We had a 2-story home, larger than most, but nothing like the Ritz, just sprawling space. One summer, I took over the upstairs, which allowed for me to have the entire floor and temperature control. I was someone that loved to keep it cold, so being that I didn't need a fan blowing on me was enticing. I would keep it super cold. As I slept one evening, I woke up in the middle of the night to my body being completely unmovable. As I came to, I heard 2 voices softly arguing with each other in what seemed to be complete nonsense of a language. One voice grew extremely loud, and suddenly my pillow caved on both sides around my face. All of this happened within seconds. I've always said it was part of a dream. Never had much of anything like that happen again.
I went out on my own near the tail end of winter, a few years ago, to have a fire after sunset next to Elliott Lake in northern Ontario. Typical for me, a few beers, my kerosene lantern, and a hatchet on a stroll in the dark down the side access hill that runs next to the hospital. I got to the lake and started my fire after finding some frozen standing dead wood. The night was clear, not many clouds, the kind of night without wind. Anyways, I had my beers and was sitting next to the fire, which by now had burned down to the sand. While sitting there, my gloved hand wandered onto a loose stone in the thawed sand. So I threw it on the ice of the lake. It made a thunderous crack and echoed across the lake. No less than a moment after 2 more stones were thrown from the left of me, my eyes caught the motion and tracked them to the tree line next to me. It was maybe 5 meters away. I grabbed my hatchet, put the fire to my back so I could see in the dark, and stood there for what felt like 15 minutes. There wasn't a single thing there. Nothing. I could see into the trees with the firelight and knew you would hear anything walking through the snow. But there was nothing. I don't even believe it happened and I was there.
I lived in my college hostel, and every night, the room just above mine would make noise like someone was shifting furniture. After completing my degree, I went to another university for higher education. This university was in my hometown, so I used to rarely stay in the hostel. One night I was staying in my hostel room and heard again the same furniture shifting noise from the floor above. I was too sleepy, so didn't think much about it. In the morning when I woke up, I had this sudden realization that my room was at the top floor.